Hello, feminine, divine feminine. You know, it's funny. I feel like almost like I'm vibrating, like I'm oscillating, like I'm going in and out of different dimensions or timelines or something. I don't even know how to explain it. I've never been much into sci-fi and things like that, though it just feels like I'm stepping into and out of these energies of, I don't know, there's some moments I feel like I'm sinking, falling, drowning something. It's just terror and darkness, and other moments, I don't know, I feel like I'm flying, like I'm soaring, like I'm free. And this is one of those moments where I'm I'm finding myself sitting here. And I don't even know if you might believe me, you might not, about all the chaos going on around me. Though I feel like I used to feel when it was just you and me, like in a crowded room. You know, some of those events and things you'd drag me to, where I was always worried about who'd be looking at me, or what if I stumbled. Somehow, you just, I don't know, you just knew how to let me come in close, or you'd pull me in close. And when we're in each other's arms, it just felt like the rest of the world. I don't know, like not like it didn't matter, but just like I wasn't needed in it, and I was safe from it. And also, it I don't know, it's weird to say, it made me feel like there wasn't anything to be afraid of, anyways. And I think it took me a while to realize that I started to associate that safety with you. You were my protector. You were my advisor, my counselor, my personal chef who made sure that I ate at least moderately healthy. You were my playmate and my friend. Also, in many ways, my warden and my judge. You were so many things for me that I took for granted. And it's crazy because in these moments, and most especially when I've gotten wrapped up in my messes and either pushed you away to try to protect you, or simply because I couldn't face you, they they were so hard. I don't know if you'd believe me, because I know I've had to put on such incredible masks to make it seem like I didn't care, that I was genuinely happy elsewhere, and not being able to explain why, and facing the horribleness of knowing that the only reason I couldn't tell you is because you speak the truth. I know I'm learning not to put you on such a pedestal. I know you're not always honest. You don't always tell the truth. I think some of those moments have been humbling, when even you have admitted times when you didn't get it right. You didn't say it right. You didn't do the right thing. I don't know, I feel like I fell off the pedestal and that you like gracefully jumped down, like floated down with grand butterfly wings and your crown on to say, see, masculine, I'm not up on the pedestal either, but the difference is I fell face first into the ground, and it was a hard, hard fall. And you floated down elegantly. Mm, feminine. I sit here knowing that I've gotten myself in enough of a mess that it is going to take a few steps to really tie up all the loose ends, cut off any tangles, I can't deny I want to do something bold. I don't know if it's all this, what do you call it, Aries energy or whatnot. I know you say I'm full of it, though I feel like I've never wanted more than anything to just to come and tell you how I've had this moment right here and now where I feel on my own, even amongst a circus and carnival, like there's nothing to fear. Like you are standing right here with me. We're holding each other even though I know you're not here. It's so strange to feel happy about a moment like that where you're not here but you feel like you're here, and I realize that I'm the one who's protecting me, and it's good, and it feels good. I never thought I would have that feeling once you were gone, once I pushed you away, once I messed up bad enough. And here, just when I hit that point where I felt like I screwed up enough to have fallen off that incredibly high pedestal I kept myself on, I mean, I feel like there's hope in it, but I feel like I have to do something bold. And I'm trying not to psych myself out and say that it has to be so incredibly big, because I know we've had those conversations, and I know you, feminine, I know you don't need the grand gestures. You don't need the fancy stuff. I obviously I've tried many times to buy your love or to get away with just telling you what you wanted to hear, and you you will have neither. You are one of the only feminines that I know that cannot be bought and whose love does not need to be earned, but the feminine who knows her worth and will tell me the truth about myself when needed and make sure that I come correct when those moments occur. Though I feel like I want to. I want to do all the things with you that I wanted to do before and was too afraid, too wrapped up in my own insecurities and just nonsense, just stupid stuff. I feel like I spent my life chasing paper, and now I have a lot of the stuff that I thought would make me happy, would make me feel like a masculine, would be something that I could come and say, "See, look at how amazing I did." All by myself, and I could say, "See, feminine, there was nothing to worry about ever." And I fought tooth and nail to get there, only to realize that I pushed away everyone and everything that I wanted to be there to enjoy it with me. When the holidays came around, when the hard days were there, the good days, all of it, and most of all, that includes you. I realized that that really was my biggest karmic lesson, not these third parties, it was me. It was me attaching my happiness to things that mean nothing when you don't have your loved ones there to share it with. And now I'm thinking about all those times I could have taken you dancing, that we could have gone out and watched the races, that I could have gone with you volunteering, building community, learning about the world, that I could have read books with you at night, or I don't know, spent spent hours just researching weird rabbit holes on Wikipedia, or watching documentaries, or just asking about you. I realize how much I didn't genuinely ask about you, especially in a long time. And I can remember you've always been so interested in me. I've never felt more wanted by anyone in the world, feminine. And it shows that you were really genuinely interested, and that you paid attention, that you actually listened, that you weren't doing it just to use it against me later. But boy, I had some moments that I thought you were, and it took some serious spanks from spirit in order to recognize that you weren't. telling me things that were in my purple room of emotional wounds that I didn't want to face. You were telling them to me because you knew that where I was headed, I was about to walk right into them. And you were trying to help me avoid them. You knew me that well. You knew me well enough to I feel in some incredible way you've left me a trail of Easter eggs. Uh, uh, almost like Little Red Riding Hood walking through the forest and leaving Easter eggs instead of breadcrumbs. And like now, even though you've made it clear, if I don't come correct, that I cannot come near, that you can do anything and everything on your own and be happy about it and glow up and rise and rise and rise, that in the moments when I thought that I would feel the most alone in my grief of pushing you that far away, it feels like now I see all these Easter eggs, all the things you taught me about self-worth, about how to stand up for yourself without being a complete asshole, about what it means to be a coward versus being brave, about how to make the hard decisions, about how to love myself, how to talk to myself better, how to treat myself better, how to eat better, how to make sure I'm fully hydrated, seeing the doctors and counselors and not overdoing it on the drinking and thinking and procrastinating. And now it feels like, I don't know how you did it, feminine, but somehow it feels like even when the moments when I feel like I dipped the lowest, I feel like I bounce back up into this light place. And when I get there, it doesn't matter what harsh truths you shared with me. I think of you and I'm happy. And I remember you. And I see how many more good things have come from you. I feel like I could count on one hand how many crappy things you've ever done to me. One hand, maybe, if I really racked my brain. And it feels like it would take 100 people's fingers and toes together to get somewhere nearer to the equivalent of how many good things you've done for me and everyone, for others that I know personally. They tell me about it. You know how hard that is, feminine? To pretend like I don't care while others are praising you, telling me about your successes. It's the worst torture in the world. And that's why I don't know. Then I get back to thinking, what can I do? What can I do? I have dismissed my feminine. I've treated for granted. I've run from her. I've kicked up all her worst fears. I've done all this stuff, and I feel like all the worst of it is that in doing that, you you went the opposite way and you glowed up, and I feel like in some crazy ridiculous way that I get some credit for that. For somehow being this incredible jerk has helped you choose you and do things that I didn't think was possible of anyone. And then I think about that example and I'm like, how can I not want that feminine right by my side? How can I not want to be there? How can I not want to be the masculine standing next to that feminine and going, isn't she lovely? She's divine. And she chooses to be mine. She could have pretty much anyone she wants, in my opinion, and she chooses me. How could I not choose her? How could I not be willing to make a bit of a fool of myself on a dance floor, or in a proposal, or in a clumsy apology? How could I be so lacking in empathy and humility and bravery as to have allowed my life to become what it is? And I mean, it took so many bold, ridiculous steps to make this mess. I feel like I feel like it takes the same momentum to get out of it, and I just want So much of me wants to just spring forward and come to you and say, I know this is ridiculous, but please take my ring and know that I am coming and I am coming quick. Even though I know I'm still at the tail ends of karmic contracts that are not just as easily sliced as that. Even though I know I've not apologized properly for everything, that I've got years and years to make up for lack of reciprocity alone. And it's crazy because feminine in the past, the way I've talked to myself, I've told myself it could never happen, could never start over, could never really be given a chance, could never really be forgiven, all of those things. And I don't know, there's just something about this moment. It almost feels like for you to cut me off, for you to stand in your power and glow in it, to radiate in it, I almost kind of liked it. How weird is that? It changed something in me, kind of like when we fought and I left. When I thought that I'd lost you forever and that was it, and I was on my own. I had no protection, no advice, no one to hold my hand along the way. And being a masculine, I certainly couldn't say how scary that was for me. And I spent all this time telling myself it can't be done. And I think somewhere in my head I got it stuck that if you couldn't even free yourself from me, then how could I free myself from all these karmics, the thoughts, the addictions, the people? If you couldn't do it, and I've seen you do next to anything, how could I do it? And I didn't even know that I needed that lesson, and to see you do something I thought was almost impossible from you. Not just something, many things. I mean, look at you these days. Look at how you've changed. Confident, self worth, looking damn good. It's so hard. One of the reasons I avoid you, even just talking to you, is I think about you. I look at old pictures of you when we first met, and I see you now looking so much just like that, and it's hard, feminine, it's hard. I'm looking at him now, though, and my thoughts are different, and I'm thinking, what if I just trust you? What if I just do what you said? What if I take a leap of faith towards you? Look at what you've done and all the leaps of faith you've made. Look at what you've manifested. While I was over here making a mess, you were making a nest. A beautiful, bold, luxurious one. With enough room for me in it, but no problems. You have no problem claiming all that space for you. Part of what I love about you. And now I've got all these visions of doing things that I've never done for anyone else before. Or if I did, it was out of anger, not out of love. And I feel like I want to rush in. I just want to show up at your doorstep. And I don't know, one part of me wants to almost just grab you by the shoulders and say, don't you know I love you? How could you ever question it? I've never been able to lie to you or hide from you. Can't you tell that by now? And the other part of me wants to just ask if I can have your hand and get down on my knees and beg you to give me at least one opportunity to finally tell the truth and make a real commitment. I feel like first to myself and then to you. That I'm not going anywhere. That I am growing. I am healing. That I am. That I never didn't choose you. I just wasn't choosing myself. And I couldn't prove to you that I've always chosen you until I first saw and then realized how to choose myself. And I don't know, feminine, I swear, sometimes I want to say that you're the most stubborn person in the world and that I've never met anyone more stubborn than you, but then I realize I am equally stubborn. I want to sometimes say more stubborn, but I realize that the only reason that that could be true is because I know just how stubborn you really are, and it was kind of off putting to me that you held back for so long. You were so patient and so kind and so unconditionally loving that it genuinely threw me off because I know you can be an adorably hard headed feminine at times. And I think there was a part of me that hoped that that stubbornness, that protector energy, that empress energy that I know that you carry, that somehow you would use that to break me free. And then at some point, I thought it felt like I had to realize you weren't coming. That maybe that I really did like kill off some part of you that remembered how to rescue me, how to prod me into doing the right thing. And then I started trying to do the right things myself, and it was so haphazard. And then I don't even know, it was like some sort of hurricane overtook you, feminine. I don't even know what it was. And suddenly, you weren't even prodding me. You were just one by one knocking out the Jenga blocks, like saying, "You want me to keep going, masculine? You want me to keep doing it? Here's another one. Oh, now we're getting a little wobbly. Shall I keep going?" And feminine, I don't know, you're the only one who could do that to me. Who can simultaneously completely scare the crap out of me, intimidate me, and make me feel like I gotta scramble to prevent this whole tower from falling, and at the same time make me excited because I never know what to expect from you next. And yet somehow I do. Somehow I know that you're always up to something, and no matter how many times I might fear that it's not good or like the karmics who have been in my life, somehow it always is. Sometimes you can tell me off and tell me about myself, and I think, how could I ever like or want to be with someone who could say something as awful as that to me until like a few days or a week later when a situation comes up that shows me that was exactly what I needed to hear at that time. And then I want to kick myself, especially because you know me. I've got a lot of immaturity, and I often react in the moment before I think about why I'm being shown something or told something or asked to do something. I, you know me, I've had a long streak of feeling like I know everything. I know all the tricks, I know all the scams, I know all the schemes, I know all the paths and what everybody really means, and it's all a bunch of BS, a bunch of bravado, a bunch of attempts to protect myself, and which I have not really even done. And I don't know, I feel like you've been so bold. You've done so much. And I feel like in taking the final leap to do the boldest thing to really release yourself from me, I know how much you love me. I pushed it away, yes. I have tried to deny it, to say there's no way you could really love me, that even if you thought you did, it was just that you just hadn't met anybody better yet. And I know that's not true. I've spent so much time telling myself that I'm not worthy. How could you love someone who procrastinates as much as me, who overthinks, who can get so reactive and have such a bad temper, who makes horribly inappropriate jokes in moments that I'm needed to be serious the most? And like, how could that be? But now it feels like it doesn't make any sense, and yet I know it now more than I ever have, and I know that you love me. And I know that you don't want anything else. You have very clearly, I feel like you have etched it into my mind. You want nothing more than me. And you don't wish to possess me or control me. You want me to be me. Which, to be honest, in many ways, I'm not even sure who that is yet. I've just barely been learning how to take care of myself in this separation, learning what accountability really means, learning what it means to be a masculine, to be a man in this changing society, learning how to open my mouth, to feed myself, to clean up after myself, to pick myself up after I have fallen so many times that I'm exhausted. I don't want to just lay there. But you have been the best example of that because I feel like somehow, as much as I love you, it almost seems like it's easier to take things out on you because I know you will always forgive me. And somehow it feels like this is one of those moments where I spent so much time thinking about that moment when you were really going to be done and fearing it. And I feel like I manifested it. And almost everything that I told myself that you had already done or would do if that moment came, it came and went. And it was not nearly as bad as I imagined it. And at the end of it, I realized it wasn't even an ending if I didn't want it to be. That yes, you were very serious. You've always been the kind of feminine who never said anything you weren't willing to follow through on. You've been very careful with your words, even so that if there were times that you were trying to make yourself do something hard and big to release yourself, but you weren't sure that you could, you only spoke to what you knew you could really do. And I feel like I know, at least in this moment of clarity, whether it only lasts for this moment or it lasts for several days, I know that you would not talk about walking away and really cutting all ties with me if you were not serious about doing it and doing it for you. And I would have thought, feminine, that hearing that, I don't know, that my heart would have dropped out of my chest and it would have been my final day and that there'd be nothing left of me. I would be a wasted being, just jello on the floor. And instead, I almost feel empowered in a strange sort of way. I feel like you almost just showed me exactly how to do it. And the funny thing is, I know that it was new for you too. And I know that it was bold and it took a lot of bravery and courage. And I cry at how many nights I know that you had to cry just to get to that place of strength, of graceful strength. And, I don't know, feminine. It makes me laugh at myself and it makes me know why you giggle at me so much. Why you tell me I'm silly and adorable. And I feel like you are simultaneously absolutely doing what you say just for you and also somehow messing with my head just for fun. I don't know how you do that, but I love it. And I don't know exactly what I'm going to do yet. I feel like I want to do something different than I've ever done before. And I kind of want to go big or go home. I feel like I feel like even if you see the total humor in all of this divine journey that we've been through, that if I don't come correct at you, you will pull out that Queen of Swords sword and slice me into 100 different beings that it will take me eons to put back together into some sort of recognizable semblance of me. And as much as that might be an adventure of its own, I'd much rather just go big and know that I can come home. And what I mean by come home is come to you because you are my home. Always been my home. And I hope that I still am yours. Even if I screw it up 100 times over.